Donald Trump has agreed to a victim interview. We just heard that today. What will the FBI be looking for? What do you think can be learned from this experience to make sure this doesn't happen again?
I think they're going to ask him the common questions of, when did he know he was under attack? Did he know which direction the shots were coming from? I think to me, obviously, he knew because he oriented himself and his body towards that direction, which, like I've said before, and multiple people have said before, him surviving that attack is being consciously aware. So, I think that they'll dig a little bit deeper into the operations of the Secret Service if he feels that he's confident in their ability and their skills and what they offer. But overall, I think it's just going to be just a procedural interview of the former president.
Michael, I want to ask you and get your reaction to the new information we got today that the shooter, Crooks, was spotted by a local sniper nearly 100 minutes before he opened fire. Nothing was done to address the situation.
Yeah, if you go back and look at even some of the statements that I made the day of the attempted assassination, and then other individuals or former coworkers, we've all said that this is probably going to be a catastrophic failure in communication, whether it be verbal communication and direction of who was responsible for what areas of responsibility, as well as radio communication. And, this is something that is a little more common than what people think, having to utilize local resources on a very frequent basis. There are times where there are loops, or there are gaps in communication that, unfortunately, in this one, it ended up costing us almost the former president's life. So I'm not surprised at all. I'm shocked that it was 100 minutes prior to. I look at the Butler County Police Department or Beaver County Police Department, and I say, if you felt that this was something that was pressing, in one of the emails, one of the individuals says that essentially this individual, Crooks, had tailgated him. Why would you not get out of your car and ask him what his intentions are?
Right.
When you've spotted him 100 minutes prior acting suspicious, why would you not do what police officers do and go confront that situation and inquire what that person's intentions are? So I'm sure that at this point, everyone's trying to do damage control and point the finger.
And Michael, to add to that massive failure of communication between local law enforcement and, of course, the U.S. Secret Service in Butler, I am curious, and I know you're the person to answer this, are communication channels usually better between different agencies? Was this unusual?
This was very unusual. At every site that I've ever worked in my career, the command post is established, and there is an individual from every single entity in that command post, which is why this does not make any sense. I'm curious to see when we get the tapes, we get the timelines of events, if some of that communication was actually relayed to the command post, or if this was communication from person to person, peer to peer. And I think, honestly, I think that's what we're going to see is this was officers talking amongst each other and then eventually relaying that up. The question I have is, when did the shift know that they had a suspicious person on top of a roof? And what I'll tell you is, working with these individuals, some of these guys on the stage are my former teammates. There is absolutely no way that if they knew that there was an individual with an elevated position, with a rangefinder, possibly a weapon, that they would have put the president on that stage. I do not believe that at all.
To that point,
I have trust and faith in these men and women.
Well, especially considering that you worked with many of them. And Trump's team is asking why they weren't told that there's a suspicious person on top of a roof in the middle of a crowd. Should the team been told? So maybe Trump could have come out a few minutes later. They could have held off on the entire rally. Held off on the entire rally.
Absolutely. I think that what we'll find in the investigation is that information, even 90 minutes to 100 minutes out, was never relayed to the authorities in that command post to make that command decision to hold him off stage until that issue was resolved. My argument is, the SWAT team saying that they never spoke to they never spoke to the Secret Service. I don't believe that. If you never spoke to the Secret Service, how did you know to be there? How did you know to be in the AGR building?
Thanks so much for watching. Go to joinnn.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.